We have MLB injury updates from the weekend. Up next on Fantasy Baseball Today Express. Welcome into FBT Express on Monday, March 3rd. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Scott White, and we got some big news from the weekend. Corbin Carroll was removed Sunday due to lower back tightness. Carroll said he's not concerned. He'll look to rejoin the lineup as soon as Wednesday this week. He was off to a blistering start in spring. Doesn't sound too worrisome, Scott, but this is a borderline first-round pick here. Any concerns at all with Corbin Carroll?
Well, they're not zero because of the cost for him, the amount of investment you're going to make. You want him to have a completely clean bill of health when you go to draft. But I would say the majority of people out there listening, that is the likely scenario, that by the time you're drafting, he will have a clean bill of health. I think he's expected to sit out Monday. They have an off day Tuesday, and then they're hoping he's back Wednesday. And if that all goes smoothly, probably out of the woods.
All right. What about Luis Gil? He was pulled from his bullpen on Friday due to shoulder tightness, and he got an MRI on Saturday. The results of that MRI have not been revealed just yet, but Luis Gil is someone who barely pitched in 2022 and 2023. Then last year, all the way up over 150 innings. Good thing the Yankees held on to Marcus Stroman because he'll likely have to slot into that rotation early on in the season. But Scott, it feels like Luis Gil is someone we're going to have to lower quite a bit.
Yes, it does. We'll find out the exact diagnosis on Monday, but Aaron Boone said he felt like it was the sort of thing that was going to cost him, quote, some time, which I took to mean a lot of time, measuring in months rather than weeks. And if that's the case, I imagine Gil won't be drafted much at all in fantasy. So we'll see. We'll see exactly what comes out Monday, but it doesn't sound good.
Spencer Steer could begin the season on the injured list. He received a cortisone injection in his right shoulder following an evaluation from team doctors, and this could open up some early playing time for Christian Encarnacion Strand, though that is not a certainty. There are so many names on this Reds team that they can kind of move things around depending on who's playing well and who they want to get in the lineup here. So, Scott, what's your reaction? Are we planning to lower Spencer Steer and anyone that you're looking to move up as a result?
Yeah, I'll probably move Spencer Steer down to the following tier. He's part of a very big tier at the middle of first base. Same tier as Christian Walker, Cody Bellinger. I'll probably bump him down a tier. And it's possible he could slip to the point that I'll actually be encouraged to take him. Because it doesn't sound like it's going to be a long-term absence. But I'm just not high on Spencer Steer in general. I have him on my bust list for this year. But this is the sort of development that could change the way he's valued enough that it changes my approach to him. So that's what I have to say about him. Was there a second question you had there?
Yes. Is there anyone else that you're looking to boost up as a result? Maybe an Encarnacion Strand.
Yeah, he probably makes the most sense. Noel V. Marte, if they don't trust Jamer Candelari's defense at third, maybe he gets a shot now at the start of the year. I'm not calling either like a prime sleeper for me, but certainly they both have upside. Encarnacion Strand and Marte.
All right, let's take a quick break and we'll be back right after this.
Gives it to Jenkins for the championship. A 16 beats a 1 from sweet to elite to the Final Four.
Welcome back in FBT Express. We're breaking down some of the injuries or updates from the weekend. And Dodgers catcher Will Smith told reporters Saturday that he's been dealing with a bone bruise in his left ankle since last June. The key word there is dealing, as in he's still dealing with it. So, Scott, any concerns here when drafting Will Smith? Does this maybe open up a possibility for Dalton Rushing to make an impact this season?
You know, Will Smith is already being drafted pretty pessimistically. He's 7th at catcher. I think the last before a drop off to Shea Langoliers. I don't know. JT Realmuto is being undervalued too. So maybe maybe there needs to be a little bit of reorganization there, but it's not like Will Smith is being drafted the way he was in the past. From May 1st on last year, he hit 216 with a 708 OPS. So it's really a big April, sustaining his stat line from last year. And you got to think this playing through this bone bruise contributed to that. Will Smith says it didn't change his swing, but the stats and manager Dave Roberts, they seem to suggest otherwise. That he's still dealing with it isn't great. And I know the GM brought up the possibility of him sitting more, which you would think would create an opening for Dalton Rushing as sort of a hybrid player like we used to see from Dalton Varsho when he was with the Diamondbacks, splitting time between the outfield and catcher. It doesn't seem like that's a plan for opening day, but could that be Rushing's in at some point during the season? And would he be an interesting fantasy option in that scenario? Yes and yes are my answers to those questions.
All right. Giancarlo Stanton will begin the season on the IL after receiving PRP injections in both of his elbows. Still kind of confused as to how this happened. Giancarlo Stanton is a DH, and apparently this injury has been dating back to last season. Well, he looked awesome in the postseason, but apparently something that Stanton cannot play through right now. We'll be interested to see what the Yankees do at DH. I guess Ben Rice is a possibility as a strong side platoon. Maybe Trent Grisham in the outfield, Jason Dominguez at DH. There have been some whispers the Yankees have had some contact with JD Martinez. So, Scott, this is very deep league stuff here, but would anybody interest you in like a deeper league, a Ben Rice or, I don't know, Trent Grisham or something like that?
If you're talking AL only, yeah, anybody with a pulse does. What could be interesting there is if they've also been playing Ben Rice mostly at catcher this spring. Of course, in the majors, we saw him mostly at first base last year. If he gets enough time at catcher that he picks up eligibility there while also getting lots of bats at DH, I could see Rice becoming a worthwhile player in 2 catcher leagues. But yeah, I think it's more of a deep league consideration.
All right. And then Parker Meadows has been shut down after being diagnosed with a nerve issue in his upper right arm. And Matt Vierling also will not be ready for opening day due to a strained right rotator cuff muscle. So Tigers dealing with some injuries early on here. I read a report last week that Wencel Perez could have a bigger role early on in the season for the Tigers. Manny Machado was scratched Friday due to back tightness. He's expected to return on Tuesday. Gunnar Henderson was pretty sore on Friday. The team decided he would rest through the weekend. The last two there, Scott, bigger names. Machado scratched with the back. Gunnar Henderson still dealing with some side soreness. Any concern at all with those two?
Gunnar Henderson, we got to keep an eye on this situation. The fact they haven't felt it was necessary to send him for an MRI, I think, is a good sign, and I'm clinging to that. But if that changes, well, first we'll know a lot more because we'll have MRI results, and it would also suggest it's not healing the way the Orioles hope. So I haven't moved Gunnar Henderson down yet. Hopefully you're not drafting quite yet, and you can wait to see the way this plays out. I do have some big drafts coming up, and I'm curious to see if Henderson slips at all.
Well, Scott, the Great Fantasy Baseball Invitational starts on Monday, and I am drafting 6th overall. If Gunnar Henderson's there at 6, I think I'm still going to take him. So,
okay, so you're not letting him slip at all.
Hopefully that is the right decision. We'll wait to learn more on Gunnar Henderson, but hopefully all is well. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to our full-length podcast, Fantasy Baseball Today, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today Express, and we will be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.